Okay. Okay, no echo.
Okay.
Give thanks and praise. Okay, now let me do this.
Yes,
Can you hear me here? Can you hear
I
me
can hear
good
you
now?
great. I can.
Okay, is it better here or does it matter? Like when I put it down, it
No,
doesn't
it's great.
matter?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Nope, it's just as clear.
It's clear.
Yeah, very.
Okay, perfect. So I don't think that I was successful in getting the thing to pin on both ends for this. So I'm just gonna record it on this thing too,
Okay.
because I feel like if I do that, I'll be okay. I feel like if I
Okay.
do it here where I can see it, I'll be okay.
Awesome.
Just gonna record it. Yes. And then that way I can edit it. Now, the things that we do for technology, we give
What?
thanks and all the praise. Ooh, ooh, Lord, we got that fire, that fire. All right. So let me put this computer down
Okay.
and let me tune in and tap in because we got a lot to talk about.
Yes, we do.
All right. So first of all, I would like to make a request.
Sure.
Um, the viewers or listeners of this particular podcast need to know how to address you, what your actual name that you want to move through this universal space will be. And so
Sure.
I want to make sure that the name that you have up there is the name that you would like to be on the Essence billboards, um, and on the front cover of the magazines and announced on the stages for the speeches. If not, feel free to change it now.
Yeah, I know. I always struggle with that because I love Lilac Calandra. Like that's, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'll change it. I'll change
Yeah,
it.
let's get it because we're on and we're on.
I love it.
And just so you know, I'm here on TikTok too, but nobody's on my TikTok. My TikTok is such an elementary school TikTok, it's a baby TikTok. Like, my TikTok is childish right now. It's just childish. Like, what's going on TikTok? What's going
Yeah,
on?
come on.
So, all right. So first of all, give thanks and praise. Welcome. Welcome to my virtual space. Welcome to Rise of the Divine Feminine podcast. This is season 5 of my podcast.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and I'm really excited because I feel like in the beginning of business, you are kind of trying to do stuff according to, and you said it doesn't make a difference with this, right? When I
It
hold
really
it?
doesn't. I can hear you just as
Okay.
clear.
Okay. Now, is it making a difference at all? Like, I wonder if I should just take this mic thing out. Like, is it loud? Is it good? Is it
No, I think it does. And I remember when I was listening to your YouTube, the microphone was best. Like it makes it very clear. But you don't necessarily have to hold it because when you put it down to go, I think get your laptop. I was surprised that I could still hear you just as clearly. So you don't have to hold it. That's a good mic because you putting it to the side, it's just as clear.
okay? All right. I mean, I feel like that's why I got the furry part because I was like, it gotta be cute, you know?
Yeah. If you want to hold it perfect, but you don't have
Yeah.
to because it sounds very good.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm gonna hold it until I feel like I just don't want to hold the mic anymore. Then I'll put it
Yeah.
down. Thank you. But yeah, so we are in season 5 of Rise of the Divine Feminine podcast, and I am excited about that because it means now I'm at a place where I finally get to talk about the things that I really want to talk about. Like I really, really want to talk about. It feels like, like how Beyonce made, I don't know how many albums, and then at a certain point she just started making albums because she just felt like making albums that she wanted to make.
Correct. Correct.
So that's where I feel like I am. My business is 15 years old, so it's asserting its independence and doing what it wants to do, when it wants to do it, and still
Yep.
winning in this life game. So, first and foremost, thank you for agreeing to be on the podcast. I don't think you've ever heard, have you ever heard a podcast episode?
I don't think so.
No, no.
Mm-mm, no. Nope.
Okay. That's fine. This may be the first
Yes.
episode that you hear.
Yes.
This may be the first one that you hear, give thanks and praise. And so this particular season, as I mentioned, like the topic of conversation is really being on that spiritual path, but abroad. Like there's so much work that we do in the States, and even doing work in the States looks different. It looks different from how it looks when we leave from out of America. I remember,
Sorry, Goddess. You know we're not recording right now, right?
we're recording.
We're not. Does it show up record? It doesn't. I don't see the recording on my side. Does it
don't
show
see-
record? Just confirm. Just confirm. Are you
Make
sure?
over here, because I have the computer over here.
Oh, okay, okay. But
Okay,
okay,
make sure.
on my side it doesn't say recording.
Okay, so let me hit the record button here. Again.
Okay. Okay.
Does it show it now?
Got it. Perfect.
And then I clicked record on the phone too, so it records to the cloud, and I already sent this request. Hold on, let me do it again. Let me do
Okay.
it again. Thank you.
So yeah, that just stopped the recording.
Oh, okay, I see what's happening. Got it. So let me do it like this. Let me be safe. Let me be safe. So I was trying to record it on both devices and record it on the phone cloud and the computer there.
Oh,
So I
okay.
can have it back up, but I'm just going to record it on the computer because I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Right. Absolutely.
I'm gonna be sitting over here and be like, hey.
Nothing recorded.
We ain't even getting. No, we got it. We have it. Okay, it's hacked. All right. So give thanks and praise. We are officially on season 5, Rise of the Divine Feminine podcast, and this is the juicy part of the podcast. This is the part of the podcast where we really get to explore topics that are relevant and real time and everyday, that apply to a lot of us, that we may just want to discuss and may not have the audience or the room or the set of people. This is the place where we can actually do that. So the first thing I want to do before I jump off on the plug twice is introduce my guest, Lilac Calandra. And I want to give you an opportunity to just speak to the audience and let them know who you are, where you live, where you're from. Just give a little brief introduction.
Absolutely. Blessings, first of all, to you, Goddess. Thank you for having me on. I'm deeply honored. I know you don't play about your babies. I know, I understand. Like you respect your space. So who you have in your space, I feel deeply honored. I'm honored to be here. And blessings to everyone who's going to hear this. My name is Lilac Calandra. Originally, I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, but July of last year, I made the move to South Africa. And currently, though, I'm in Ghana. So I'm just trying to, make my way around and experience the motherland in a way that is healthy, right? And in a way that I need to experience it, forgetting all of the things that, we've been told, forgetting all the preconceived notions that I may have had, and wrapping everything up in doing what's best for my mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. So it's been a wild ride, and I'm excited to continue on the journey. In my profession, I am a marriage and family therapist and a mindfulness life coach. And so, having to work on my own mental health, right, while helping other people can sometimes be a difficult task. But definitely being on the continent has given me the space and the freedom to just be, to just exist, and to just feel comfortable in my own skin. So it's been a great journey of shedding the versions of myself that now I no longer need, and taking on the versions that are going to take me on the next step of my journey. That's been my journey. So I can't wait to unpack that.
Good thanks, good thanks. That's a beautiful introduction. I have to say that, like, I love the intro because it feels very thorough. Let's start there. I think it's really important to acknowledge the confusion, the pathway, like the journey. Like, there's so many different layers. And one thing that you said in the intro was unpacking. Unpacking. Okay, unpacking. And since this season is really about being on the spiritual journey, but finding yourself at home in a land that
Yes.
you weren't born in, I want to know more about that process of unpacking. Specifically, did you did you bring your baggage with you to South Africa and have to unpack it there? Or did you unpack before you got to South Africa and then realize that there was more unpacking that you had to do? What has been the process of unpacking for you?
Oh, such a great question. So, when I decided to visit South Africa the first time, it was January of 2024, and I was working with this company that was helping diasporans, who wanted to come to the continent, either to move or just to visit, who wanted to invest in business. It was in South Africa. And as soon as I got off the plane and my feet touched the soil, like, that land called me home. It said, come back. And who am I to say
Mm.
no? You know what I mean? South Africa was like, okay, come home. And I went back to the States, and I started unpacking and packing at the same time, which is an odd thing. I had to pack up everything I kind of known about my origins, where I've been, what I've been doing, my history, my ancestors. I had to pack all that stuff up, and then I had to unpack it at the same time, because in order for me to make the journey over, there's so much I had to let go. So it was a little back and forth. Goddess, while I was packing up my stuff, to make the huge move to South Africa, there were a lot of things that I threw out. I mean, spiritually, I mean, physically, I mean, I believe as it is in the natural, so it is in the spiritual, right? So as I'm throwing out clothes, first of all, I'm repenting because I was so gluttonous. I had so much stuff that I never used. Stuff still had tags on it and still in the back. Never used it, just purchased it, just bought it. You know what I mean? Just had it in excess, never used it. So as I was letting it go and throwing it out, I was releasing that version of myself. I was letting that part of myself go that wore those clothes or that bought that, you know what I mean? Or that utilized that stuff during that season of my life. And so I had to really unpack that. And I had a cute purple couch I got in college. I had to let that go. I'm not taking that with me. So
Mm.
that version of myself who bought that couch, who lived on that couch, who did all
Sis,
this, was
sorry,
I let that version
let
go
me,
with that. Hmm.
1 second, let me pause you. Can I
Sure.
ask that we come off of video because you're lagging and I'm afraid that there's some parts that won't be caught. Yeah, just so everybody knows, everyone who's listening on Spotify knows, we started doing a video on to record this podcast today. But baby, we is on this African internet, okay? And this African internet is doing its internet thing. So I apologize for the lags. I apologize for any disruption that may cause. So just disregard this if you are listening currently on the podcast. So let me, yes, okay. So please
Okay.
continue, sis. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And man, that's such a good call, because that's an adjustment you have to make. You used to, great Wi-Fi always working, but you just have to make an adjustment. And it's like we still have Wi-Fi, it's just certain things, we have to just dial down on, and that's okay. So I was, like, okay, I was sharing about letting most of my stuff go. I came over to South Africa with 5 suitcases. Yep, I had 5 suitcases. I didn't ship anything. I came over with 5 suitcases, and I had to let a lot of stuff go. And as I let it go physically, I was saying I was letting it go spiritually, and letting those things go that I no longer needed, because I wanted to make space. That's the unpacking. I wanted to make space. I didn't want to bring that baggage over. So I had to make space. I had to prune. I had to cut a lot of things as I was leaving things behind, and having, trash removal come and junk removal come and pick up a lot of stuff. That was me unpacking, and that was me making space for everything that I needed to in Africa, everything I needed to receive once I got to the continent. And then what did happen is I did find more stuff to unpack, because it's one leave and
Mm-mm.
then go, to another country, and then living there and experiencing that. I wasn't just on vacation anymore. I wasn't just a tourist anymore. If you move your home, you have to find, you can't just be doing Amazon in America anymore so much. You have to find what you like there. You have to find different things. You have to find, the product, all the different things. I'm cleaning products. You have to find what you like. You know what I mean? It's
Mhm,
trial and error.
mhm.
And so there were definitely different things I had to unpack there. But I am grateful that I was able to unpack a lot before I came, because I would have been too full, and I wouldn't have had enough space to take on all the emotions and feelings that came actually moving there, not just being a tourist anymore.
Mhm, mhm. Whew, that's such a thorough answer, and I really appreciate you walking us through the visual of what the process looked like for you. But I'd like to kind of peel it back a little bit. When you
Yeah.
talk about the energy, like, just all the things that you had, what did that actually like represent? What layer of you um was wrapped up in the things? Like, what version of yourself can you clearly see now that you may not even have noticed that you were living in at that time that you were there?
Mm, man, another dope question. So I think that I'm always going to be a recovering people pleaser, right? I'm in recovery, right? So that people
Mhm.
pleasing, I definitely was able to really let that go. I mean, I'm the youngest of five, and I've moved the furthest of my parents' children. I mean, I didn't ask anyone permission to move. I told them that I was moving, and left them, with how they wanted to deal with it. Also, the version of me that needed validation from other people to know my worth. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
if I didn't hear that I was doing a good job, then I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
if someone didn't clap for me, if someone didn't say congratulations or this is wonderful, that what I was doing was beneficial or impactful. Those versions I can clearly see have been left, you know what I mean, have been left in America. And even I had to remove more versions of those versions of myself, even when I got to South Africa. So the people pleasing for sure, and knowing my own worth, whether someone claps for me or not, whether someone bigs me up or not, that I know that my life is impactful, and that I'm doing not just a good job, but I'm living out my purpose. So those are two distinct versions that I can see that I've distanced myself from, for sure.
Mhm. 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 Now, when you say that you are a recovering people pleaser,
Hey.
that has a ring to it. Okay, it rings. And for many of the women who are listening right now, like, that's very, very relatable, just knowing that there's a part of them that is still into people pleasing. And
Definitely.
I just have to say, for the record, when it comes to Black women, some part of me doesn't really identify it as people pleasing. I kind of identify it as normalized societal expectations.
Sure.
We've had to adhere to standards that we never agreed to. We've had to exceed the standard, whatever was standard for something, some institution, we've always had to be excellent in order to
Times
be,
10, yes,
we've always had to go above and beyond. We've always had to
yes.
increase our skill set in order to be a valued member of any team, of any group. We've always had to prove ourselves in relationships, whether it be romantic or, just personal friendships. There's always been this bar, this bar that existed for Black women in the West that didn't necessarily exist for everyone else. It did that, but everybody don't have that. Latinos didn't have that. Asian people didn't have
Nope.
that. White people certainly didn't have that. Like, there's always just this bar of standardized, this system of excellence, standardized excellence. And I want to know more about some of what you've observed from the women in South Africa. Like, are you seeing that same high standard of excellence or unrealistic expectation that people pleasing? Like, tell me a little bit about what you have seen as normal, absolutely normal in the States, that you may now look at differently after having lived in South Africa and seeing the women there and how they move and carry themselves.
Yeah, firstly, I mean, I agree with what you were saying that people pleasing is just a societal norm, and we have to do times 10. And even our parents and elders reinforce that. Like, if white people are doing this, you have to do 10 times better, 5 times better. It's like they instill that in us very early, and that type of pressure is what breaks someone's back and what causes a breakdown just in general. But in South Africa, um so I'm in Johannesburg. Now Johannesburg is different than the rest of South Africa. You know what I mean? Like, once you get outside of Johannesburg, Limpopo, those are places where you have more farmland, villages and things like that. Johannesburg is very westernized. Tons of, skyscrapers, restaurants, businesses and things like that. Like, to make people feel the comfort of the West without having to leave the continent. But even in that, right, even in a lot of the westernization, I'm looking at these women who wear their culture so proudly, and they are proud of who they are, and they're proud of their big hips, and they're proud of, their body shapes and their, like their skin types, and you can just tell there's a cultural proudness that is instilled from them as a child, because the way they walk, the way it's just, there's a level of confidence that is so beautiful to see. You know what I mean? And it's not confidence because I have to show off. It's not confidence because I have to prove myself to anyone. It's just confidence because I know who I am and I'm comfortable being who I am. That it's beautiful to see and I love it so much. Definitely from the women, and they're kind of spicy, they're spicy. They don't take too much mess. You're gonna give them what they want, and that's that, or you're gonna hear about it and you'd rather just give it for the first time. I see how they interact, male female relationships, but just like anywhere, they say what they mean and mean what they say. So then that even goes back to the level of confidence that's there. They know who they are, and their knowing is rooted in their cultural identity that is birthed in them and then reinforced in the village, in the community by their family and friends. So that's something that I really love to see.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And would you say that, um, or I guess maybe, I'm very aware, me myself as a
Yeah.
person, um, and I'm aware of how my interactions with people in their homeland, how
Mhm.
those interactions oftentimes are my personalized lessons. Like that, it was
Sure.
just, it's like, these are my teachable moments. And I will say that for me, um, living in Tanzania, Tanzania is one of the most passive aggressive, like laid back, calm,
Mhm.
peace be unto you, salam alaikum. It is this,
Yeah.
listen, they don't want no smoke. Don't nobody want no
Mhm.
smoke. Okay. This is a slow moving, pole, leggy, like we gonna get there when we get there. Okay.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
this is just like the vibration here is not, it's the opposite of whatever the Western vibration is. Like we not doing none of that. We're not going on a hamster
Mhm.
wheel. We're not doing that. And so a big part of the reason why I chose Tanzania was because of that, because I recognized that my son
Mm.
and I, after spending years and years in Atlanta, you know, that's where he was born and raised. After years and years, I'm like, oh, this boy needs some peace because Atlanta is ganging. Atlanta is
Mm.
gang. Atlanta is lit. Okay, so
Right.
he needs some peace. He needs some pole. He needs some slow moving vibrations. He needs to be able to just be in himself and get to know him on a different level, you know, have that space
Mm.
to figure out who he's becoming, and to
Yep.
be able to see himself in the mirror. So that was a very big reason why I chose Tanzania. But one of the things that I've learned recently for me is that I needed to be here in order to observe these women, okay, and observe this energy that I don't see in the States at all when it comes to us. I
Mm.
don't see this level of softness. And I'm big on teaching about the soft life. I'm big on teaching about relaxing into divine femininity. I'm big on teaching about those things, but oftentimes I don't see them displayed at a consistent level to where I can
Mm.
say, this is what you should be looking at, you know?
Mm.
And there's a
Mhm.
difference between being soft and being passive. Okay. That we're not talking
Correct.
about being passive. We're talking about soft energy, right? And I have to clarify what softness is because there is a movement that we know as a soft life movement. You heard of that, right? You know,
Yeah.
soft life movement.
Yes.
Right.
Mhm.
That's some nonsense. Let's just call it spade a spade. A lot of that soft life stuff is based off aesthetics. It's based on topical fixes, you know, going to the spa or not paying
Right.
50, not paying any bills. Like those
Cor-
things are not what I'm speaking about. When I speak about softness, what I speak about is a state of being. And in that state
Mm.
of being, one does not feel obligated to do a goddamn thing for another. In that state of being, one feels completely comfortable in one's own skin. If one
Mm.
does not want to jump up and assist, one does not jump up and assist. There is no perpetual anxiety about how much one has given because just being is enough. Just being is the check mark. Just being is the state of approval. So, what I've seen from women here in this country is a level of softness that doesn't require them to do the most because there's a generosity, there's a layer of abundance that exists. You know, I grew up with women. I grew up observing women prove themselves to their friends. Like, I got to do this because I'm ride or die for my friend. This is my A1. I got to be loyal to her. Like, all of this stuff is you proving yourself to someone who should already recognize who the fuck you are if that's your friend. If that's your friend, okay?
Correct.
And case in point, there was a video. I don't know if you saw the video, Lolly, but there was a video posted maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know. Anyways, it was a video of a young lady in a car, and she was driving, and she was driving. No, it was a video of a girl who was in the passenger side. Her friend was driving, and her friend was going off on her. Her friend was going off on her. Did you see that
I did not see that.
video? Hey, the friend was going off on her. The friend was going off on her because it was the driver's birthday. The girl who was driving was her birthday. And the passenger, who was the friend, showed up in an outfit that the driver felt like made her look less pretty. She felt like her friend looked better than her. And how dare you show up on my birthday looking better than me? How dare you? Okay. So the mentality that we've had on what loyalty looks like and how much we have to prove and how much we have to do, we can't just be, we have to do. We can't just be, we have to do, we have to help, we have to assist, we have to lead. We gotta be smart. We gotta be Independent. Do you know what that means? Girl, we's tired. So we tired. So when we talk about soft life, when I speak about soft life, when I speak about softness, I speak about that from a place of being. And that place of being is so foreign to us as a group of Black women who have gotten used to doing, proving, showing, demonstrating, ganging, taking care of. There's a whole ING movement at the end of everything that we've had to do. We can't just be. We have to do. We have to do. Okay. So
Correct.
I have learned so much from observing these women and how little they do. You know, there's no need to prove anything. There's no need to demonstrate. There's no need to be, you know, a certain way. There's just a lot that I've learned from observing these women. And what I realize is that even aside from the environment and the peaceful vibration of being in this country, that there is another layer of my spiritual journey that involves me sinking in deeper into that softness, into that level of softness where I see that it's time for me to take groceries out of the car and I completely just say, well, I don't have to do that because I know someone else is going to have my back and do that. And it's not, at this point, it's not my job. You know, I can just be. I can just be where I walk in the house for an occasion and I don't have to jump in the kitchen and ask what y'all need me to do to help. I can just come in and sit down. I can come in and sit down and relax and enjoy myself. There was a situation yesterday. I was out at a women's meeting and one of the sisters got up in a rush. You know, her and an elder got up and I was concerned, like, is everything with that elder okay? But I resisted the urge to jump into that action and to be in that place of urgency, you know, and be in that problem solver energy. So I say all that to say that I am acutely now aware of how being here, not just being in the land and not just interacting, but really being in a place of observation has really allowed me to see my next level of growth and expansion, you know, in this divine femininity. And I'm just curious, you know, can you see or what can you see either reflectively present or that has already started to transpire? What can you see about your time in South Africa and how it intertwines? What can you see in terms of that interconnection between your spiritual journey and South Africa, your personal journey and South Africa itself?
You know, firstly, I agree with everything you said, especially, you know, about divine femininity. In South Africa, my femininity is allowed to flourish. It's allowed to bloom. It's allowed to come up. This is just me speaking. In America, a lot of African American women, we're raised to be like men. We're raised to be very masculine and to take care of everything, not just the normal nurturing, but we have to hold up the whole house. And we have, you know, it's the culture of everything is on your shoulders, and it's made men very lazy. And this is not me bashing; it's just a reality. It's made men very lazy. We have made men not have to do a lot of work because we'll do it. They know that we're not going to
Right.
let the ship sink, and they know that we're going to pick up the slack and we're going to cover it. We're going to pay for it, and it has really caused a great divide and more stress on us, right? And if we really look back, and even in history, Big Mama's passing away, and Nana, and all our elders going not even so soon, but just in misery, just in depression, and because they had to carry everything with very little help. And I love what you
Mhm.
said about the soft life, right? That right. Soft life now is very materialistic. It's like, okay, I don't have to pay for anything, and I can drive a
Yeah.
nice car, and I can go on trips. No, that's beautiful. But if you come back to your home and you are not able to really exist in that space, then it's like, okay, you're just doing this for a moment. Soft life is a lifestyle. It's not just something you do for a week in Mexico or Hawaii. It's a lifestyle. Every day
Mhm.
you wake up, you choose to be in that way. You choose to have your heart be that way, your mind, and everything's in alignment with that. So I was really able to do that in South Africa. And even what you were saying about taking the groceries in and things, there are men, they get upset if I try to reach for something, if I try to grab something, because it takes unlearning. And we go back to the unpacking. I'm used to picking up things, grabbing stuff. My parents got divorced when I was 11 going on 12. If my brother wasn't home to take out the trash, who was taking out the trash? Me. It was forget about the
Mhm.
gender. Oh, boys take out the trash. My brother, he might have been gone for a while. That trash was going out because it needed to go out. So you get used to just doing certain things. You're single for a long
Mhm.
time. You end up just doing certain things. You pay your own bills. You have your own place. You have your own stuff. You do your own things. But in Africa, and specifically where I am in South Africa, men will almost be ready to pop my hand if I'm reaching for something heavy or anything like that. And it took a little while to adjust to that because I'm like, oh. And these men weren't being this way because they wanted something from me. This is just who
Mhm.
they are at their core. To protect the woman is to protect the entire community, right? Because the women are the pillars. And I don't mean the head. I'm not even getting on that discussion. I mean the pillars. I mean, we're the portals, we're the life bringers. You know what I mean? Like babies, feed off of us. It's just the way it is. And so they protect women in such a way that is beautiful. And when women are allowed to really walk in that divine feminine nature, that's when we flourish the best. We're able to exist
Mhm.
in that. That's when we can soar in our spiritual journey. We can soar to the highest heights. Clarity is there because if I don't have to worry about taking on things and doing this and picking up this and having to carry the slack and all that, if I don't really have to worry about that because I know it's getting done, then I'm able to have so much clarity and focus and direction because all this other stuff isn't clouding my path or my journey. So that's kind of how it's impacted my spiritual journey. Like when I'm allowed to just exist in just the feminine part of me, just the beautiful, that's the real soft life, the soft side of me. I'm just
Mhm.
allowed to be there because I am a woman and because I have men around me who don't want me to lift or to do this or to carry this or to move this way. I love that. You know what I mean? And I
Mhm.
found myself just in a clearer space, a more focused space, and closer to the creator because I don't have all that static, all that noise, all this anxiety. I have to figure this out. I have to worry about this. I have to do this. I'm worried about this. I don't if all that stuff is cleared away, then I can hear from the Most High so clear, and I'm
Mhm.
grateful for that. So it all comes full circle, and it's really an encouragement to see, and I really try to share that with the women in my life.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to be a pack mule, and you don't have to be a you don't have to be a pack horse. You don't have to have things so piled on you. Just come over the continent
Mhm.
to see. You are able to release so many things and to unburden yourself and to exist and live and how we were created to live and exist. Because in the States,
Mhm.
we're living in a way that we weren't created to. And that's why it starts to weigh on us so heavy, physically, mentally,
Mhm.
spiritually, emotionally, all that.
Mhm. 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 That's really lovely, and I love the way that you put it in a weight format, so I can actually
Mm,
visualize it. Because it is
correct.
a burden. It is a burden,
Yes.
and we end up carrying it unknowingly. We carry it because part of us thinks that we have to carry it. There's just so many obligations. There's always so many
Yes.
obligations. There's always you got to do this, and you have to look out for this person and that person. So it's like before we're even able to speak, and this is one of the reasons why I say I have a whole soapbox that I have to preach on when I talk about the fact that I need people to stop praising this concept of being their ancestors' wildest dreams, meaning that the bigger burden that they have to carry means that that is the celebration. It's not the celebration.
Yep.
When I hear people talk about these type of things, I always imagine a newborn baby, right? Like imagine that you're a newborn baby in a hospital and you're fresh, like you just got here, your umbilical cord just got cut, you popping up all these lights in your face, like it's a lot going on, right? And as you're settling into this new body and this new existence and the parents that you chose and the life that you chose and all the things that you chose, what you see energetically is that instead of somebody wheeling in a trust for you or saying, wow, Lilac has arrived, let's bring flowers, let's bring gold, right? Because Jesus got frankincense and myrrh. So
Sure did.
instead of that, what you see is this little baby is now the recipient of somebody's trash. What you're essentially saying energetically, I was the one chosen to carry my ancestral burdens. Okay, I was the one who was chosen to carry forth the trauma and to amend it. Like this is asinine, people. I don't know if anybody, if you're listening to this, if you're hearing this, if you're hearing my voice right now, you got to stop doing that. You got to stop doing that because yes, there is beauty in healing. Yes, there is beauty in responsibility. But the way that you all are romanticizing the concept of burdening the next generation, not I'm giving the next generation land. Because in Africa, where we now live, we know that parents bequeath land to their children. Their offspring are the recipients of compounds, acreages, okay? We may be recipients to businesses and enterprises that were started right before we reach adolescence. Those type of things are things that we observe in real time, living on the motherland, right? But in Western Black lingo, we have to acknowledge that there's just too much fanfare around this concept of inherited trauma. There's just entirely too much fanfare around it. And when I hear you talk about the burden, I can't help but to be reflective on how much of a burden people are consistently inviting into their life by picking up trash that was left by their grandmother or their great grandmother. You mean to tell me? So it's either you went out to the dumpster and got it, or you're saying that she wheeled it into the room when you were born, that you were born to do this. You were born to clean up her trash. Is that what you're saying? Because I just wanted to make sense for the record. Because it doesn't make, if my grandmother loved me, okay, my grandmother tried to do everything she could in her power to assist me while I was here on this earth. And I just can't for the life of me seeing her saying, you know what? Matter of fact, I got some old wounds. I got some old pain. You know what I'm saying? That I didn't get to deal with when I was here on earth. Let me go and get that to you when you get here. Okay?
Right.
Baby girl, I ain't got no money for you. I ain't got no silver and gold. But I got these problems. Make it make sense. Are other races doing this?
No, they're not. No, they're not. And not in the level that we're getting it. Especially in the States. They're not doing it. They're not doing it. And the reality is this too. No, they're not doing it to the level that African American women. They're not doing it to that level because and the reality is even if it's given to us, we have to learn the art of rejection, that we have to reject that and we don't have to pick it up, and what you said is
Mm.
true. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, because I even used to be like that, Goddess. Like, I'm like, oh, this is my burden to carry. When you're a generational, you're like, there's just certain things I have to carry. I don't. You know what I mean? There are certain things that I don't have to carry, even if it's being offered to me. And what you said is so true. On the continent, the inheritance looks so much different. And it's not like all
Mhm.
families are perfect. It's not like there's no fighting and there's no toxic traits. No, every family has its own issues, no matter where you are on the entire globe, in the galaxy. Every family has its own issues. But when you realize the importance of when I am no longer here on this earth, that when I am no longer here, that children, and then you leave in the land, you leave in the business, and it's land that you own. It's not like you leave them a house and then the land is owned by other people, right? Which is what you used to experiencing. You can buy a house in the States, but the land is not yours. And so we're talking about eminent domain. We're talking about if they want to put a highway right through your home. Hey,
Right.
you got to pack it up. It is realizing the importance of that. No matter what I'm going through, I'm going to leave my children with something that they can pass on, and everything is an inheritance. You know what I mean? Either you're going to pass down that trauma or you're going to pass down something that is going to make sure that your generation, you and after you are flourishing. So no, it's not done in that level, even with other races. Because even if a mom, I'm thinking of other races like each other, they work together. Okay. I'm speaking
Yeah.
to Chinese people. The Lees and the Chungs might not like each other, but they're going to get together. They're going to get a business going and they're going to have something for the legacy of their children. They might not like each other. When they get in a room, they might not hang out with each other, but they put that aside and they say, we're going to work together. You see it with Jewish people, Chinese people, Indians. You see it with everyone else. But when it comes to us, right, the only thing that we're really passing down for real, until you look at the generations coming up now, all these older generations, right, all they had to give us was trauma and hurt and shame and guilt
Mhm.
and a lot of spiritual abuse. And when you look at it
Mhm.
from that perspective, especially in the church, and you look at it from that perspective, you're like, I reject this and I don't want this. And
I don't
so
want
that
it.
that
I
I
didn't
don't
want
want it.
it.
And I don't have to have it. This is
Right.
not the inheritance that I want. There are
Right.
people, when you do your last will and testament, there are people who say, you know what, I don't want this. And so when the will is being read and you hear your name called next to some trauma, you can absolutely say, I don't want this. This is not what I
Mhm.
want. I don't want this. I'm not taking this on. And if I have to create my own inheritance to pass down, if I have to start over from scratch, if I have to reject
Mhm.
everything that my family has tried to pass down so I can create a new something, that is what I'll have to do. And that is what I found, that, man, I am rejecting so much that has been given and passed down knowingly and unknowingly, right? Because if you're not getting the help you need, if you're not taking the spiritual journey that you need, then you oftentimes unknowingly pass down stuff that is only going to keep getting passed down. I am the barrier. I am the blockage. I am the stop sign. I'm the barricade, saying that for my next generations, I'm not passing that down to you guys. It's the buck really does stop here. And what I pass down is going to be generational wealth, generational openness and calmness and peace and a spiritual awakening and understanding that I wish I got. And that's no shade to my past elders, my family members. They didn't have the capacity. And so I have to pass it down. I have to put a stop to that inheritance. I don't want it. I'm shutting that off. I'm good with that. Scratch my name off that will. And then I have to restart over so that what's left for my children and their children and their children is something that'll keep the generations going. It's a choice that we have to make. And that's hard. It's easier said than done. But when you make the choice to reject, or you make the choice to say, I'm no longer going to take this anymore, that is the true spiritual awakening. And your eyes are
Yeah.
open and you see yourself in a whole different light. And it's a beautiful, scary thing all at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. I wanna make sure I acknowledge that, in discussing this, it's a very sensitive topic, right? So there
Very.
may be someone, listening. If you're listening right now, sis, and you like, I mean, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. You absolutely positively are. You absolutely positively are. This is not an attempt to diminish any accomplishments that you've made or anything that you have done that has furthered your entire lineage, that has furthered your bloodline. This is not that. I just want to be clear for the record. What I am saying to you, as lovingly as I can possibly say it, is that for a very, very, very long time, our matrilineal lineage has carried burdens that that never belonged to them in the first place. Okay, our matrilineal lineage was mentally conditioned by society to believe that they had to go above and beyond and sacrifice themselves, sacrifice their joy, sacrifice their pleasure. If we open up the door to talking about the sacrifices that Black women have made when it comes to pleasure, we will be here until Jesus, the Jesus,
Hello.
okay, the Yah
Facts is
and the
facts.
way, okay, until that one comes and descends on. If we talk about the sacrifice of joy and pleasure and ecstasy, because those are things that were foreign concepts. We were workhorses. We've been workhorses for hundreds of years. And what I'm saying to you is that I know without a shadow of a doubt that your matrilineal lineage does not want you to celebrate in the space and in the ideology of give thanks and praise. I get to do more work, as if life was not heavy enough, as if there aren't enough challenges. Give thanks and praise. I get to do my mess and clean up my mess here on this earth plane. And I am totally here and totally happy about cleaning up somebody else's mess. That's not what they gave you. That's just not it. I want you to know, period. I want you to put a period on the end of what I'm saying. I want you to know, period, that your grandmother, your great-grandmother, your great-great-great-grandmother, the greatest of the grandmothers, the whole entire lineage, they celebrate when they see you relax. They celebrate when they see you at peace. They celebrate when they see you smiling. That is their celebration. Their celebration is not your suffering. They don't celebrate. They don't delight in that. They don't say, look at my girl down there suffering. That's not it.
Just like I did. Suffering just like me.
Just like I did. Show them, pass on them generations or something. No. That's not it. That's not it. So it's time for us to put an end to the narrative that keeps us in that space of thinking where we're perpetually embracing, because it's a mental thing first, right? We're mentally embracing this idea that our purpose is to further along our lineage, and what that means for us is not land. Again, we're still on the wrong side of the railroad tracks, because it's not land. You're not saying, let me further my lineage by buying diamonds, because my grandmother never owned diamonds. That could potentially be a way to further the lineage. You're not saying, let me further my lineage by buying every single one of my children their own house, or making sure that my nieces have an antique tea set. That's not what the goal. That's not goals. The goals are to fully commit to a level of suffering that not only meets where we are in this layer of life, but that sinks down to the ancestral levels of suffering.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. Herein lies the problem. You made a statement, like that I want to go back to. And truth be told, we could really be here all night. We could really be here all night, girl, because we really just getting started. I feel like I ain't really asked you nothing yet. Like we ain't even really get to talk yet. But I want to go back to a statement you made, because you said something and I feel like, okay, she brushed over that, but we gotta put a spotlight on that. You said something about being in South Africa and having men assist you in a particular sort of way. Did I hear that correctly?
Absolutely.
Okay. And what I wanted to do is just kind of reverse on that, because child, this condition is so deep. Not only have we been taught to do it ourselves, but we've also developed a high level of resistance towards people helping us.
Yep. 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 Absolutely.
Girl, you got to do it on your own, but we've also developed a high level of resistance that says, no, 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 don't help me. Okay? And as confusing as that might be, for those who know, you know, that there is a level of guilt that shows its head when you have to get assistance. That's why one of our favorite lines is, I don't ask nobody for nothing.
Right.
I don't
Right.
even ask nobody for nothing. Okay? Let's be clear, right? What was it like to, as a self-described people pleaser, what was it like for you to actually accept help? What was it like for you to say, you know what? It's go ahead and carry that for me. You know, because sometimes that in and of itself is another struggle. That in and of itself. Because I-N-D-E-P-E-N-D-E-N-T. Do you know what
Correct.
that means?
Right.
That man said,
Right.
I love it because she got her own. Do you realize that this is all conditioning?
Yeah.
Why were you
All of
saying that
it.
when she say she got it? Why you like a woman paying for stuff for you? What, like the song, even the music
It's
is in
wild.
this space where it's encouraging this, all the women who independent, like, come on. What was it like for you? Was that an easy thing for you to allow help? Tell me about that.
Yeah. It's so funny, you know, once you're out of a certain bubble, you start really realizing how conditioned you were, right? Hearing all those songs and the promotion of independent women. I mean, now if there's toxic masculinity, then I also think there's toxic femininity in that same vein, where it's like, I'm gonna bash the man to the point where it's like, you know, I don't feel like I need anybody. No, we need each other. And that's the reality of it, right? We need to be in a healthy relationship with each other, everyone knowing their boundaries and what's going on. But that really does encourage women to say, I don't need a man, and then expand it, right? I don't need anyone. So for me, I'm a Virgo. Well, I'm a Virgo too. So we're very independent creatures just by nature. Like, I'll do it myself. I'm not trying to be rude. I just know that I'm particular and I like things done a certain way. And instead of me getting upset for you doing it, let me just save all that energy and say, I'll do it right. Now in Africa, I want to hear you give a rebuttal to their help. And that's what I need, right? I can be hard-headed. I can have a strong personality, but I need a man or that don't even give me the option. And it's not like male chauvinism or misogyny where it's like, oh no, it's like, I said I'm gonna help you, that's what I'm doing. And if whatever resistance that was trying to rise up, it couldn't compare, like it couldn't compete, it couldn't be like, oh, even if I hinted at, oh, I want to do it, there was nothing it just was not in existence anymore for me. Like, no, I got it. No, there was none of that. Were going to help me. They went to grab it. No, they didn't ask me if I needed help. They just took it. And for me, I needed that because that helped me adapt a little more. That you're picking it up, you're taking it. I would walk into my place with groceries. I wouldn't have to worry about that. It would be a wrap. Grabbing the bags, doing that. Okay, awesome, wonderful. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like, do you need me to help you with this? Because some people, I mean, and I think it varies on who you are. For me, if you ask, do you need me to help you? My answer is always going to be no. I want to be honest. It's always going to be no. I'm always going to be saying no. But if you just take it and you just say, okay, I got this, that helped me. And that's what I found. It wasn't even a chance for me to be like, oh no, I'm all set. Because even if I uttered that, and even if I said that, the looks I would get, or like just like the scoff, that African scoff, like the sounds they make, like it would be like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Like, I wasn't necessarily asking you. So that helped me to adjust better because that wasn't asked if I needed help. Help was
Right,
given to me because I'm a woman, and they wanted to honor me in that way.
right, right.
Helpful. And again, I can be hard headed, I can be stubborn, and I need men in my life who are not gonna put up with that. And they're not gonna bash me down, but they're just them operating in their masculinity allows me to still flourish in my femininity and say they got it and I'm all set and we're good. So that's the journey, and every day it gets better and better and better, where I don't feel like I have to resist and say no, I got it, I don't even need to utter that, because if I try to utter it, it's not even acknowledged, which is what I love, because that helps me get over it.
I love that. I really appreciate you using the word need, when you say I need, you know, my man. I need Black men. And
Do
yes, yeah, I appreciate that that honesty, because there has been a deep-rooted association with a weakness and
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability. To be
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable, be weak, according to our
Mm-hmm.
culture.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be doing that. You can't be exposing yourself, girl.
Right,
It's not
right,
safe
right.
place. It's not safe for you. But
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
reality, like we should have always had the right to be vulnerable.
Yes.
We should have always had the right to express our emotions and to talk about our feelings and to be in our feelings, like to be
Mm,
in our feelings,
mm,
to be in our feelings.
yeah.
Okay. That's something that it seems like it's just missing. All these parts of having this full experience in being
Mm,
a woman.
mm,
It's just been missing because we've been observed from a hypersexual way in Western
yes.
culture. Heavy on the hypersexual, heavy on the
Heavy.
hypersexual. But
Mm,
meanwhile, there is a deficit when it comes to um, just the organic emotions that we as Black women have, whether they be hurt or sadness, or even anxiety. Everybody else was allowed to fall apart. Everybody else was allowed to be depressed. Everybody else was allowed uh, to struggle through it and to sob through it and to have a bad day. But there's not been enough space for us to have those bad days and to fall apart and to have rage, to be absolutely
mm.
pissed off, to be
Woo.
absolutely flabbergasted. There has not been enough of that space made for the full spectrum of emotions. And I give
Mm-hmm.
thanks because I remember the first country that I really kind of just got comfortable in was Gambia.
Mm-hmm.
I had already been to Senegal, and then I went to Gambia, and that was the first country I really got comfortable in. And I think part of it was probably the language, because Egypt, everybody's speaking Arabic, Senegal, everybody's speaking Wolof and French. But in Gambia, everybody was speaking English with me. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, like we can rap, like we can click. And one of the things that I immediately recognized was how um, how free I felt because I didn't feel judgment. I didn't feel like
Mm,
anybody was judging me. I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel judged. I didn't feel like people were like judging me. Like when I would chew with my mouth halfway open because the food was so good that I'm talking and chewing and whatever, nobody's like, "Ugh," nobody's doing that. It just didn't seem like I had to be in the in the flow or in the accordance of some of the same norms that I would be aware of if I were still living in Atlanta. And
Yep.
one of those things that I felt that about the most was my emotion. Because when if something was upsetting to me, let's say I went somewhere and, I'm having a conversation with a shopkeeper or, cashier or something like that, the first thing that they would say is like, oh, I'm sorry. They say that a lot in Tanzania too. They killed, sorry is like the national word of Tanzania. It's holy.
Same in South Africa. Sorry, if you trip and fall, if you hit your hand, they say sorry. You know what I mean?
Exactly. But that's so significant. And in Ghana, the national word is please. Please, can
Please.
I take you to the store? Please, can you sit here? Please. Like, so there are these words that are part of the culture, but what that does, I don't know if it does that for you. Maybe, some people come and it irritates them, it may vex their soul, but for me, that puts me at ease because I lived in a place where nobody said sorry.
Nobody.
Nobody said sorry. Like there was no sorry, there was no pole, there was no apology. There's just it is what it is. We learned that early. It is what it is. It is what it is. That person who came to school with no lunch and they didn't have no lunch money, baby, it is what it is. That person who mama died, a few weeks ago, and now she got to live with her grandma and she got to move. You won't see her again. It is what it is. We learned to suck it up and deal with it. That was the perpetual message. We at the end of the day gonna end, and it is what it is. Okay. So
Yep.
I really appreciate you using words like need, because we weren't supposed to have no needs, Lilac. I don't know if
We
you got
weren't.
that memo, girl, but we weren't supposed to
I
have
got
no
it.
needs. You got that memo?
I did.
We weren't supposed to have no needs. You supposed to make do with what you have and
Yep.
keep it trucking. Keep it trucking at the end of the day.
Mm.
So um yeah, I really love hearing about, just these lessons, these interactions, these ways of seeing things, with the changes that you've made in terms of moving from the States to South Africa. Um, can I ask if any other lessons or what other parts of the journey you've also found yourself undergoing while in Ghana? I know you're in Ghana right now temporarily, but how have things shifted for you when it comes to your spiritual journey, um, being in Ghana at the moment?
Man, I haven't even made it. I've been in Accra for since the 11th. So I'm gonna be headed to Cape Coast sometime in the next upcoming days. So I haven't even made it to the dungeons and the door of no return, which is the door of return now. But even without making it to those significant places yet, I feel my ancestors, and I feel weepy, and I'm always crying because I feel like the circle has been completed. Like we were never supposed to make it back here. We were never our feet were never supposed to touch this soil again. When we were sent away, when we were captured and we were chained and we were put on those ships, we were never supposed to be back here ever. We were supposed to be enslaved for the rest of our lives, from generation to generation to generation. And for us to have made it back here, to have made the full circle, it feels complete. And I do feel my ancestors rejoicing. There's a joy that I feel that I know is not my own, that it's not, I do have joy, but I know it's not my own, and I know it's external joy, and I know it's joy coming from my ancestors who are so happy that I made it back. And I'm so grateful, because most African Americans came from West Africa. So I'm so grateful that my feet are able to touch this soil, because that's an act of rebellion all on its own, in a place we were never supposed to be back to, in a place we were never supposed to reconnect to. And I feel myself reconnecting to myself, right? To things and places in myself that I never knew, that you really can't know it unless you get back to a place where your ancestors came from, right? They cultivated this land and built this place up, and tilled the land and sowed here and planted seeds and harvested and raised families and then did communities and civilizations and all that. I feel all coming into me. And it's almost like a circuit being turned back on that had been turned off for so long. It was never, the circuit wasn't dead, it was just turned off. It's like when you have a blowout, like your circuit blows out, there's too much electricity going somewhere, it blows out. But when that circuit breaker is turned back on, all that electricity is able to flow and power the things that we need to. So it's for my spirituality, I would just use the word reconnection. I feel myself reconnecting to the land, to the atmosphere, to my purpose, to what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's a lot to deal with. It can be overwhelming at times. I've had to take a lot of time to myself because I feel so much and I'm open to so much. And I know it's because of where I am and that I've made the circle back and now the circle is complete. And there's even a level of wholeness that I feel that you can't feel until you come back, until you put your feet on the continent soil. You can't feel that until you make the trip. You can be whole, you can be well, you could be doing all the things wherever you are, but where your ancestors came from, that's the connection. Whether you come here to live or just come here to visit, there's a connection and a reconnection that happens that I really encourage everyone to experience at least once in their life. That you feel your ancestors here and welcoming you, embracing you, and filling you with things they could not give us in the States. In that atmosphere, we couldn't handle it. We couldn't take it. So we had to come here and be clear and be able to receive from all the things that we needed to receive from. So I'm wading through all those emotions. There's so much, but I love it and I'm grateful. I'm grateful to have made it back. And my family is happy that I made it back. That someone from their lineage, their bloodline, their DNA has made it back and completed the circle.
Give thanks and praise. Yes, ma'am. I say, I say. I
Okay.
felt that. Okay. You said it with your chest. Okay. I'm curious for the sister listening who's like, okay, that sounds good, but how do I even know where to go? Like you in South Africa, you in Ghana, like how did you know to go to Ghana? Like how did you know to go to South Africa? Then what would you say to her? Like what would be your advice or what would be your message to that sister who's listening right now who has that as a question?
Yeah, and you know what? If that's you and you're listening, you're like, there are so many places in Africa, so many different countries. Where we're supposed to be does call us if we're quiet and still enough to listen. And I believe that with my full heart, right? That we'll see it in our algorithm. We'll see if it's Kenya, we'll see videos and pictures of Kenya start coming up, or someone will talk about Kenya. We have to listen and hear because we get the answers in every single part of our life, right? And so if it's Gambia, if it's Senegal, if it's the Congo, if it's these places, we'll hear it. And we have to take a moment of stillness. Sometimes we're always rushing around and we were talking about that burden of rushing, of going, moving, shifting. And I came from the north, right? Where you are always running to go get a bus, a train. We walk fast, we talk fast, we move fast. We never get a chance to be still. And so when you take that chance to eat, to meditate, to sit in silence and stillness, man, the land will call to you where you need to go, where you want to go. And there might be multiple places you want to visit. Visit as much as your budget can allow, as much as your availability can allow. Visit and hear and give yourself the gift of just stillness and listening and pay attention, right? There's a level of eye opening that we have to have. Are you seeing things about a certain country in Africa pop up all the time? Zambia, are you seeing certain things pop up? Are people mentioned all the time about a certain country? Is it resonating with you? We will know, right? We will know just a starting point. I'm not saying that that's the place that, okay, I heard about Zambia and I'm going to live there for the rest of my life, but maybe that's the place to start. And then from there, you go visit other places. Like my dad moved to Ghana in November. So that was my connection to Ghana. I moved to South Africa, he moved to Ghana. And he's like, when you going to come visit? And there was just things I needed to get settled, things happening, things going on. And this was my time to come to Ghana. And so I was able to come to Ghana, And so once you get to the place, the point and the goal is just to get there. So listen and hear what place is speaking to you, what place is always, again, on your algorithm. If we're always on social media, that's Instagram, that's TikTok, that's Facebook, that's whatever. What is always popping up for you, or what in your mind has said, oh, that's a place I always have wanted to visit? Those are the things we have to pay attention. It takes mindfulness and intentionality, right? Those are two keywords I'm going to use. We have to be intentional about this. Where are you supposed to be visiting? That land will tell you, hey, come visit me, if we give it the chance to talk to us and we're still enough to hear. And that might sound all deep and mythical, and no, it's real. Give yourself a moment of silence and stillness so that you can hear where you need to go. Because once you put that desire out into the atmosphere, it's going to rebound right to you. You're saying, I want to visit Africa. I don't know where to go. You can even voice that, because we're talking about acoustic intelligence. You're voicing that into the atmosphere. I don't even know where in Africa I want to go. Baby, that answer is going to be like, okay, boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? You'll see it. It'll start coming to you. You'll just see a certain country or countries always in your face, always popping up, or something will pop in your mind. Oh, that's a place I want to visit. There's so many videos on social media. We see the South African kids at high school, they're singing their songs. We see people in Uganda. We see everything going on. So we have to listen and pay attention. So that, my sister, that is what I would say to you. If you are not sure, because there's so many places to visit and there's so many things to learn. We have so many years to try to absorb, but there's no pressure, right? Come, see where you want to be. Not that place that you initially want to be, you will be led to the next place. We have to trust ourselves and trust that where we're supposed to be will be calling to us, and it knows that we're supposed to be there, and we'll get there. That's what I would say. That's advice I took for
I
myself.
love it. I 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 know that we could literally be on this particular platform with at least another good 2 hours.
Easily, easily.
Easily another good 2 hours. And then even after the 2 hours, I'll be like, oh my God, I can't wait till I see sis again. Because I didn't get a
Correct.
chance to tell her this, and that either. Because at the end of the day, it is it's a whole vibration to be a Black woman who has
It
unshackled
is.
the chains of America, who has found herself outside of the grasp of Canada, who has managed to squeeze between the greasy palms of the chokehold of the UK. It is a
Hey.
flex, is a vibratory place to recognize that the West is a very dangerous place for Black women, and
Mm,
that oftentimes our spiritual breakthrough, our journey, our deepest moments of understanding will have to come from outside of the country, because it is hard to heal in the same place that continues to traumatize you. It's hard to
it is.
heal when you're still
Yeah.
being traumatized every day by the environment's toxicity. If the toxicity level continues to stay at an all-time high, it is very hard to heal from the thing that is currently hurting you. Okay?
It
So
is.
I really want to just acknowledge that it is so beautiful um, to be able to hear from you, to learn from you, to have this type of conversation with you, because it's this healing thing is not for the weak. It's not for the weak, but there are things that we can do that really are on the other side of freedom, that that just make it a lot easier for us to find our way back to ourselves, to reclaim who we are at our core. So I want to just give you an open floor if there's anything that you want to say in closing. Now is a great time. If somebody's interested in talking to you or connecting with you, now is a really great time to let them know how they can do that. Please feel free, because you absolutely have the floor.
Absolutely. The first thing that I'd want to say is just expressing gratitude to you, Because the first time that we met in person, when you came to South Africa, you helped to shift my entire mindset. I had come there as a colonizer, and this is me being completely honest. You don't even recognize that you are coming as a colonizer because that's the goal of the colonizer, to instill that colonization in you, and then you just go and do it. They don't even need to have a hand in it anymore. You just go, and the seeds of it, you just keep planting it. And I come almost with a battle axe in my hand, like, I'm going to change this system and that system. And you politely but sharply told me not to bring that mess here, in the way that you do it, in the beautiful way that you flow. And I received it with not just open arms, but an open heart. And it truly changed my entire trajectory, like literally. And I've told you that before, but I want to do it in a public space to give you those flowers and that acknowledgement and express my sincere gratitude. And that is what I would say to anyone too who's coming, to make sure to connect to yes, the women who are in the place you're going, for sure, but also with America who get it, who understand what it takes to actually live and survive on the continent, because it's a whole different ballgame. So I'm
Mhm.
I wouldn't even be able to have that level of spiritual awakening because the colonizer was blocking my mind, and I was coming there to clean up shop because they needed so much help from me. And it's just not the case. There's so much that I have to learn and so much I have to receive in that space. So I want to first just acknowledge that before I do my wrap up.
Give thanks and praise this. I really appreciate that. I definitely, I didn't know that my approach could be described as sharp. I'm joking when I say that. I have been
I know
told
you
and
are.
told again. Yeah, because somebody right now is listening and saying, Sharp, that is Queen Jamila Sharp. Yes, in real life. IRL, okay? I definitely have a very straightforward approach, and it's not always received. I say that as someone who is very committed to delivering the message, that I will not be held responsible by anybody's ancestors or any other spiritual deities for a message that went undelivered. So we give thanks and praise that you were in a space and place to receive that, Lilac. We give thanks and praise for your humility and just for your open heart. We give thanks and praise for that. So
Serious
absolutely.
thanks and praise. Absolutely, it was so needed. But yeah, I think just to wrap up, I'm so grateful for this conversation, and I agree we could be here talking and sharing, just bouncing back and forth off of each other. I would really say that I am grateful for the journey that I've been on. It hasn't been easy. There's been a lot to deal with just mentally. It's a detox that has to happen. But I also feel just grateful that I've been gifted this opportunity to spread my wings that were caged in the States. As free as people feel they are, there is definitely a level of boundness that it's just gonna happen on a, we're stolen people that were sent to a land that we weren't supposed to be in. You know what I mean? And not coming in the way that we were supposed to come. So there's always going to be a level of boundness there. But when you break out of that, you can really stretch your wings and really be free. And so I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to share about that. And it is my sincere hope and wish that anyone listening, and any amazing sister listening, would have that desire to spread your full wings. May that bloom in your heart, and may that bloom in your spirit, and may that bloom so much that it annoys you to the point where you have to go and spread your wings somewhere. And you might be feeling the push, you want to move, you don't know how to do it. There are many resources and many ways to connect. With the age of technology, many videos. I mean, you have a direct connect right to Goddess. Like, we're removing all excuses, and that's just me being as honest as possible. That if it's your time to go, answer the call, because you don't want to miss your window of opportunity. It's all about alignment and being in the right space at the right time. And some doors don't come back around. Some do, but some don't. And so you don't want to miss your door. And so in order to connect with me, I'm happy to share with anyone. give you the real deal. You know what I mean? Africa is not a utopia. It's a beautiful place, but there are things you have to deal with, just like with anywhere else, right? And so I would never want to give anyone the unicorn and rainbows version because you come over here with false expectations. So I'm happy to connect with anyone on social media. It's Lilac Calandra. Instagram, it's still Lilac Calandra _ Calandra, and everywhere else is just Lala Calandra. On Facebook, I'm happy to connect, happy to talk to anyone who has questions about the move and what it takes, and just express